Why does it feel easier to love someone from far away than to actually let them in? You know what I mean? That crush you've been holding on to for months, maybe years. The friend you secretly adore but never confess to. Or maybe it's the way you fantasize about an ex, or even someone you know deep down is unavailable. It's safe, comforting, almost intoxicating, because at a distance they can't reject you. At a distance, they can't disappoint you. At a distance, the story stays perfect. But why does your heart prefer that safe distance instead of the real, messy, vulnerable closeness that love demands? Stay with me until the end because we're going to dig deep into why this happens, what it reveals about your past, and how you can finally learn to love without fear. Let's be honest, loving from a distance can feel like the sweetest pain. You get the butterflies, the daydreams, the songs that suddenly make sense. But you don't have to face the hard parts, the awkward silences, the arguments, the moments when someone really sees you and you're not sure if they'll stay. It's why some people fall for celebrities they'll never meet. It's why others pour their emotions into long distance crushes, unavailable partners, or almost relationships. The fantasy feels safer than the reality. And if you've ever caught yourself pulling away the moment someone actually starts liking you back, you know exactly how confusing it feels. You wanted this, didn't you? So why do you suddenly feel panic instead of joy? Here's the thing. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not even alone. This is a pattern, and it has a name. But to understand it, we need to go back, way back. Because the answer isn't in your adult relationships. It's in the very first bond you ever had. In the mid 20th century, a British psychiatrist named John Bowlby asked a question that would forever change the way we think about love. What if the way we love as adults is shaped by the way we were loved as children? Up until then, most people thought love was simply a matter of choice, or perhaps chemistry, that strange spark we feel when we meet someone. But Bowlby's research revealed something much deeper. Love wasn't just romance, it was survival. His work gave birth to what we now call attachment theory. The idea is simple but profound. The way our earliest caregivers responded to us didn't just shape our childhoods. It built the blueprint for how our nervous system experiences love for the rest of our lives. Because think about it. As a baby, you didn't have words. You didn't have logic. What you had was need. The need to be held, fed, soothed, protected. And every time you cried, the response you got left a mark. If someone came, gentle, warm, consistent, your little body learned, the world is safe. I can trust, I can lean in. But if you cried and no one came, or if someone came with impatience, rejection, or coldness, you learned a different rule. Closeness hurts. Don't rely on it. Bowlby described this survival programming as attachment styles. Some children grow up secure with the confidence that love is steady and dependable, but many others grow up with something different, an anxious attachment, always fearing abandonment, or an avoidant attachment, convinced that closeness is a trap. Some even develop a painful mix of both. And this is where your story fits in. If you find yourself safer loving from a distance, chances are a part of you learned early on that intimacy is risky. Maybe you reached for love as a child and found absence. Maybe you asked for comfort and met criticism. Maybe the very people you depended on were unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, never fully safe. So your brain did something brilliant. It adapted. It created a defense. Love, but not too close. Want them, but from far enough away that they can't really hurt you. Care for them, but in a way where you're always in control. That isn't weakness. That isn't failure. That's survival. Your nervous system protected you the only way it knew how. But here's the paradox. The very strategy that once kept you safe may now be the reason you feel so alone. Because yes, distance keeps you from being abandoned, but it also keeps you from being truly loved. So the real question becomes, what do you do about it? How do you honor the part of you that just wants to feel safe, while also giving yourself the chance to finally feel close? If this is starting to connect dots for you, pause for a second. Hit the like button. It lets me know these deep dives are making an impact. And if you want more insights like this, subscribe and turn on the bell, because this is just the beginning. because in the next section, we're going to break down the practical ways to rewire this pattern and why tiny steps toward closeness could change everything. So let's get practical. If Bowlby showed us that attachment styles are learned, then here's the hope. What was learned in the past can be relearned in the present. Your nervous system isn't fixed. It's adaptable, which means you can actually teach your body and your mind that love, real, messy, imperfect love, doesn't have to equal danger. But how do you start? Let's break it down into three small but powerful shifts you can make right now. 1. Notice the distance reflex. You know the feeling. Someone texts back quickly. They want to see you again. They seem genuinely interested. And suddenly, instead of feeling happy, you feel tense. Maybe you even lose interest altogether. That's not you being cold. That's not you being broken. That's your nervous system bracing for pain. It's the old wiring saying, careful. If you let them too close, you'll lose control. You'll get hurt. So the first step isn't to force yourself closer. The first step is simply to notice. When you feel that urge to pull away, pause. Name it. Say to yourself, this is my distance reflex. This is my body remembering old danger that isn't here right now. Awareness is the first crack in the armor, because the moment you can see the reflex for what it is, it loses some of its power over you. Third, 2, practice micro-closeness. Here's where many people trip up. They think healing means suddenly becoming an open book, pouring their heart out, or diving headfirst into deep intimacy. But that's overwhelming. Your nervous system doesn't need a tidal wave. It needs drops of water, slowly, consistently. So start small. Share one more detail about your day than you normally would. Let someone do a small kindness for you without brushing it off. Hold eye contact a few seconds longer. Send the text you'd usually overthink. Each time you do this, you're teaching your brain, look, closeness didn't end in rejection. It was safe, maybe even good. Healing doesn't happen in dramatic leaps. It happens in these micro moments, tiny acts of courage that stack up into trust. 3, reframe safety. Right now, your definition of safe might be distance, loving from afar, holding back, protecting yourself by never fully showing up. But that's the old definition of safety, one built from survival. Real safety isn't distance. Real safety is finding the people who show up consistently, who are gentle with your vulnerability, who prove with their actions that they can be trusted. Begin to rewrite safety in those terms. Instead of asking, how far can I stay to protect myself? Start asking, who feels steady enough that I can inch closer? And here's the payoff. Every time you take one of these steps, noticing your reflex, practicing micro-closeness, or reframing safety, you're not just breaking a pattern. You're rewriting the story you were handed in childhood. You're teaching your nervous system something it never got the chance to learn back then, that love can be safe, that closeness can heal, not harm. But this leads us to the most important piece of all, because if distance once protected you, how do you let closeness protect you now? Here's the truth. Your heart isn't afraid of love. It's afraid of loss. When you keep people at arm's length, you're not rejecting love. You're rejecting the pain that you've come to associate with it. Because deep down, love doesn't feel like safety. It feels like risk. It feels like the edge of a cliff where one wrong move could send you tumbling. And that makes perfect sense, because somewhere in your past, love really was risky. Maybe a parent was physically there but emotionally absent, leaving you unsure if comfort would come when you needed it. Maybe love was unpredictable, warm one moment, cold the next, and you learned that needing too much could trigger rejection. Or maybe you watched people you trusted walk away, teaching you that closeness always comes with an expiration date. So of course, distance feels safer. Of course, fantasy feels sweeter than reality. When you love from afar, you get to hold on to the dream without risking the devastation. At a distance, love can't abandon you. At a distance, it can't disappoint you. But here's the reframe. That strategy belongs to your past, not your future. It's the child's solution to a world that didn't feel safe. It's the nervous system's clever defense against hurt. But you are no longer that helpless child. You're no longer powerless to choose where and how you place your trust. Every time you risk letting someone closer, you're giving yourself a chance to reprogram that old story. You're proving in real time that intimacy doesn't always end in loss, that vulnerability doesn't always lead to rejection, that being loved for who you are isn't just a fantasy. It can be reality. And the best part, you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to fling open the doors of your heart all at once. Healing isn't a dramatic leap. It's a steady walk. One step closer, and then another, and then another. Maybe it's letting a friend in on how you're really doing instead of brushing it off with, "I'm fine." Maybe it's allowing someone to see your flaws instead of hiding them behind perfection. Maybe it's daring to believe that you are worthy of steady, patient love. Because the truth is, safety isn't found in distance. Safety is found in the right kind of closeness, the kind built on trust, consistency, and care. So yes, distance may have protected you once, but closeness, the right kind of closeness, is what will allow you to truly come alive. If this gave you clarity, subscribe, because the next video is going to take you even deeper into how our minds shape the way we love and connect. And hit the bell so you don't miss it. I'll leave you with this. Maybe love feels safer from a distance right now, but healing begins when you let it come closer, not all at once, not recklessly, but slowly, gently, with the people who earn it. Because distance may protect your heart, but closeness is what makes it finally come alive.